little nuances throughout the video that it's dangerous to say. In the world of broccoli-headed teenagers and laser-faced sunglasses, TikTok has its downfalls. But it also has hidden gems, like my algorithm, for example, with videos of UFO sightings, conspiracy theories, and much more to enjoy. With the world of fitness now being at your fingertips, you can get great advice in just a moment's notice. But the opposite is also true, with fitness influencers just searching for clout, saying anything that will get them traction. How do you tell right from wrong? Especially if you don't know any better. This is why I'm doing a TikTok fitness audit. Do they really know what they're talking about? Da, da, da.
Losing body fat isn't hard, it isn't miserable, and it isn't unsustainable. But it can feel that way if you have a shitty plan. For most of my life, I was built like this. Now I look like this. And it's been almost 7 years since that picture on the left. So not only do I know how to lose body fat, I know how to keep it off, the part that people really fuck up. But there was a time where I too felt like I was just meant to be overweight and getting fit wasn't for me. So here's the plan that I used that worked for me and was downright enjoyable. Number one, I started weighing and tracking everything I ate.
I actually like a lot of Higher Up Wellness's content. I think a lot of the stuff that he says is really factually based and, coming from an honest place. I do think that his transformation is, in the upper 1% of what's achievable. He has a incredible physique, especially if he is natural. I mean, that is almost unreal to look at, to go from where he was at to where he is now. I'm not saying it's completely unachievable. There are people clearly out there who are doing it, so it is possible. But for people to have the expectation that, if they track all their calories, eat correctly, and, start working hard, they're going to look like him is not realistic. Will you make an incredible transformation? Absolutely. So I don't think it's bad advice. But it does lead people on. Having those comparisons in the very beginning of the video is definitely a little jarring. It gets that traction. So he's doing what he does well.
If you want to get more athletic, I would stop doing things like this. I would stop pressing overhead. I would stop doing rows where you row with both arms. And I would rather do things like a kneeling press with a landmine. This could be a dumbbell, kettlebell, but you press here. Boom, boom. It's a different way of doing things, but this better mimics a throw or a strike.
I mean, it depends on what your goal is, right? Like, he's saying athletic. Personally, when I look at these movements without actually physically doing them and looking at the science base behind them, I would think that they're more isolations than the prior compound movements that he's comparing them to, which in turn would be less about building core strength and other useful things for being athletic, and you would get less overall muscle growth. But maybe the way that he's performing them is better for fast twitch muscle fibers or explosive power, maybe. So I feel like it is misleading, but I don't know enough to say. So on the advice scale, it's kind of a eh.
The reason you can't build any muscle is because every time you're in the gym, you're either just going through the motions on every single exercise like this, or even worse, doing whatever you can to get the weight up and just letting the weight throw you around. Motherfucker, that ain't gonna do shit but leave you injured or small. But it's all good, because Papa Pump got you, and I'm about to put y'all on.
Before watching any of this video, steroids. Don't call people small if you're on steroids. Not really fair.
Muscles need tension to grow, which is simply the force created when you squeeze and stretch the muscle. But when you're just going through the motions or using momentum to get the weight up, you're taking tension off the muscle, which is why you're still small as fuck. So here's how we can fix that. Now, an easy way that we can increase tension during an exercise is by focusing on controlling the negative, or the portion of the exercise where you are stretching the muscle that you're working.
That's actually great advice. 100%. Agreed.
Now, in your pulling movements, don't just let the weight pull you around like this. You want to control that shit on the portion of the exercise where your muscles are getting a good stretch. And on your pushing movements, don't just drop that motherfucker, because you're just going to end up injured. You want to act like you are still carrying the weight down, lowering it nice and slow, keeping tension on the muscle throughout the negative portion of the rep. Now, it's also important to make sure that you're choosing a weight that you can actually control, because a lot of you motherfuckers just stack up the plate for your ego and end up rocking the weight around, taking tension off of the target muscle and placing it on your joints. And you wonder why you ain't growing. And that's it.
Definitely an interesting way to approach content, but clearly it's working out for him, and it is good advice, at least in this specific instance. It's all right, Papa Pump. I agree with you. This is a good one.
The reason you're strong but don't look like you lift weights is probably because you've been lifting like a power lifter more than a bodybuilder. The difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding is that when you're powerlifting, you're trying to lift as much weight as possible, making that weight feel like butter. You don't want to feel the struggle. That's good for you if it was easy. When you're lifting to grow muscle like a bodybuilder, you want that light weight to feel even heavier than it is. You want to be making those reps harder than they need to be, challenging the muscle more than it needs to be challenged to move that weight. Strength thrives on muscle efficiency.
I don't completely disagree with this. I mean, when you're in a gym and you're working out, you should have a plan and a goal. What is your goal? Are you lifting for strength? Are you lifting for aesthetics? Like, what do you want the outcome to be? And then train in a manner that is going to be efficient for those reasons.
Stop letting dipshits on Instagram tell you have to spend 2 hours a day in the gym to build muscle and get the body you want.
You're never going to get the body that you want because you're comparing it to other fitness influencers, and not everybody has the same genetics, so you are actually never going to get that body. Can you get something similar to what you want? 100%. You absolutely can. You can always reach and strive towards your goals and make steps to get closer to what you want to look like. But the thing about being into fitness is that you never are quite satisfied with how you look. But once you accept that, it all gets just a little bit easier.
If you want to lose fat and build muscle, save this guide. Firstly, we need to get your training right. So you need to chalk out 1 hour from your day every single day of the week, meaning 7 days a week. On four of those days,
you do not need to worry about fitness 7 days a week. You might go insane.
You're going to go to the gym and hit the weights, high intensity.
4 days a week lifting. That's a good amount of volume, especially for somebody in the very beginning stages of lifting. That's more than enough.
Intensity style, okay? This is not cardio workouts. This is high intensity weightlifting that you're gonna do. The other 3 days of the week, you can go for a casual walk. I don't need you to go running or jogging or get on the elliptical or anything like that.
I wouldn't consider that 7 days a week then. If you're going for a casual walk, the word casual, you're not working out. Does that make sense to anyone, or is that just me?
Like that, I just need you to go for a casual walk. After that, you need to dial in your nutrition. I recommend you eat every 3 to 4 hours of the waking day, which...
That's unrealistic. Not everybody can do that.
Gives you about 4 meals. Those 4 meals need to have protein and a little bit of carbohydrates, and they should give you a total number of calories that are a multiple of 10 times your body weight. And the third thing is, if you're trying to lose fat,
10 times your body weight is way underestimating your calories. That would mean that I would be eating 1,600 calories a day, which is half of my maintenance. Now, everybody's maintenance is going to be wildly different depending on your activity throughout the day. So that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be good for somebody else, but just making a blanket statement like that, if somebody follows this guide, I hope they do some more research, because after a week, maybe even 2 weeks, they're not going to be feeling great.
You need to be weighing yourself every single day as well. And that's the only way you're going to know if the diet and training is working or not.
Yeah, I agree with that. I weigh myself every single day, but don't pay too much attention to the scale on a daily basis. Make notes of like weekly, like what your weight is changing to on a weekly basis, because it's going to have trends. It's going to go up and down. You know, maybe you had a cup of water before you went to bed and that made you weigh an extra half a pound more than it did the day before. It doesn't mean that you gained half a pound. So just make sure you're keeping track of the trends, but weighing yourself every single day is a great habit, and it's something that I do every single day.
So stick to these meals exactly as written, stick to the training program, and every day weigh yourself. And if the scale is not moving, then you need to reduce the food quantity.
That's some intense advice to give. If I'm understanding that correctly, the 10 times your body weight is your calories, and he wants you to reduce your calories if you're not losing weight. I don't know if that might be the problem. Your body might not be functioning properly if you're eating that many calories. So maybe using an app like Macro Factor or even something like MyFitnessPal, just to get you in a correct range for daily calories to eat, would be a great idea.
Or increase the intensity of training. It can be that simple, but the problem comes down to accountability, for which I always recommend you hire a coach. If you want,
of course you do, because you are a coach and that's how you make money. So can't hate the grind. I agree with some of the things. Probably agree with most of the things. There's just little nuances throughout the video that it's like, it's dangerous to say.
Watch me recover from one of the worst dirty bulks of all time. Every year I go on a dirty bulk on purpose for the winter and then get lean as hell for the summer. You don't need to dirty bulk like I do. I just do it because I prefer to do it this way. First things first, I keep my strength training the same. When you're cutting, the goal is to keep as much strength and mass as possible. So you want to keep your strength training up to par as if you were bulking. As weeks pass by, you increase your cardio weekly, maybe by every 2 weeks. If you don't know how to track your macros, you could go to Calorie Calculator on Google, type in your information, and it'll provide you a chart of how many calories you should be eating to maintain or lose weight depending on your goals. And you will start to see your fat shred off your body.
I like that he gives you a free tool on how to calculate your daily calorie intakes to gain, lose weight, all that stuff. That's awesome to see. I wish he would have gone more into depth about his specific diet. What was he eating like on a dirty bulk? How many calories did that entail? How much carbs, fats, and proteins? And what does the cutting phase look like? How much are you eating now? What's the difference? What does the difference in diet look like? I think that would be really beneficial for people to see, because I feel like people eat like a dirty bulk on a normal basis and don't think they're eating like a dirty bulk. Some people, that's just their normal diet, but seeing what they can achieve, especially naturally, and his transformations are actually crazy. So props to him for putting in the hard work to do that, and the hard work to dirty bulk up to 230 pounds and then cut a lot of that fat off. Big ups to him. Lots of good information in there. I like that.
Does lifting heavier weight mean more muscle? That's how some of your favorite influencers be lifting. To grow muscle, you need at least one of these two things. Number one is mechanical tension. Think of your muscle fibers like a rubber band. When you lift weight, your muscles are getting ripped apart. That tension rips apart your muscles, which then your body repairs and rebuilds them. You can't do that without a decently heavy.
You know, I feel like I read a study recently that said that you're not actually ripping your muscles and they're not repairing, and that's not how you build muscles. It's like something completely different, but I don't know. If you know about it, comment down below. Maybe I'm wrong.
Wait, that's why you calisthenic dorks never grow any serious muscle. Will lifting heavy cause a ton of tension? Yeah, but does that mean lifting in the 10, 15, 20 rep range can't do that? No. Number two is the pump, which typically you get when you lift light, higher reps. Your muscles swell up and feel really tight, kind of like inflating a balloon with air. No pump? Pump.
I think this is relatively good information, while some of the things that he says seem slightly deceptive to me. I don't think that there are any studies that directly link pump to muscle growth, while I think that it probably does. I think that's a great indicator that you're hitting the targeted muscle. So if you're getting a pump in the biceps and you're working out biceps, then you're hitting the right target muscle, like you're hitting the desired muscle that you want to work out. So I feel like that's a good indication that you are probably growing muscle in a good hypertrophy range, but I don't know if there's anything to really back that up other than me saying so, which I'm telling you right now, you can't take any influencers too seriously. You can't take their advice wholeheartedly. You need to check multiple sources and make sure that the information that you're getting is reliable. It's the right thing to do. And listen, everybody's body is different. Everybody's journey is different in fitness. So one person telling you how they got to where they're at doesn't mean that it's going to work for you too. The most important thing to do is build a plan and set your goal and work on moving the dial closer and closer to that goal over time. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and watch another one. It'll be on the screen here somewhere. And I'll see you guys next time.